Welcome to the Commercial Kitchen Chronicles, the original food service equipment repair podcast built by technicians for technicians. Whether you're on the front lines of repair, keeping the kitchen running smoothly, or just passionate about the food service repair industry, this podcast is your go-to source for expert insight, tech tips, and real stories from the field. This episode was brought to you by TrueTech Tools. Looking for top quality HVAC tools? TrueTech Tools is here to help. From instruments to hand tools, in stock and shipped fast. They have you covered to get the job done right. Visit TrueTechTools.com. Quality tools, essential support. What's up, everybody? Today I have a very special guest, Seth Hiler, on, and he is from Viega. He's part of their training program out in Colorado, and we're going to talk about, what Viega has to offer as far as training and then what they do to get back to the trades and that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited to have Seth on, and we're just going to talk training. So, Seth, what's going on, buddy?
How are you, Pat? Just busy as always.
Yeah, we had a couple weeks slow down, but it's coming back with vengeance. So get ready to hit those summer months of these kitchens. It's going to be brutal. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. So what is your background in the trades before we get started? Anything Viega related? Let's learn a little bit about you.
Yeah, so my very first job was actually framing houses in high school. Western Colorado, 104, 105 degree weather, 0% humidity. Framing houses all summer long was my very first job. Between then and now, did some work in a coal mine, underground coal mine, did a lot of oil field work, a couple truck shops, and then did some maintenance for a big hospice healthcare facility, and then started plumbing. So started plumbing at Colorado State University. We did the remodels. So we did anything from large mechanical rooms, the biosafety level 3 shower in, shower out research labs, essentially anything on campus that needed remodeled, they would have us do. That was all traditional methods of connecting pipes. So we sweat copper, brazed copper, threaded everything. After that, I went into a more residential service and new construction role with some light commercial work, built some car washes, some custom houses, did a lot of drain clears, everything in between. During so is when I was able to experience press technology to its fullest, see the benefits of pressing and see the benefits of Viega and really what sets Viega apart from some of the other manufacturers.
So that's really cool. So you've ran the full gamut as far as plumbing goes and construction goes, building houses and then, remodels, plumbing. That's really cool to see. A lot of times you get people on and they're just a trainer. They don't have the background experience behind it, but it's glad to see that Viega is investing in people like yourself that have this hands-on knowledge and the hands-on experience. And you guys can bring that to the field and, help show people what it's really like out there. So that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All of our trainers right now come from the field in some aspect, whether it's the shipyard, a couple plumbers from New England. We have one who's from the wholesale side, but very knowledgeable. We do really appreciate that on the training side of things, especially.
Yeah, that's cool because you can actually relate, with people out there in the field and you know what they're experiencing, you know what they're expecting out of your products. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, can you walk us through the vision behind Viega's training program and why is it important to invest in hands-on education?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a company, we have over 2,500 approved applications on file across all of our product lines. This isn't really commonly known. A lot of people think of our product for use on water or gas or some heating water, kind of the basic kinds of stuff. But being able to inform people of all the aspects where they can actually use our product, get that safe, reliable, and consistent connection is important. And as you know, it's not necessarily hard to make a press connection, but you have to do it the right way. So we want everyone to have success with our product, and proper installation is at the forefront of that. You must have proper installation to have that success and get that safe, reliable, consistent connection.
Yeah, I've been using Viega products for a few years now, and man, it's hard to beat. I love them. I've done a lot of research online. I live in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, so there's not a whole lot of places around here for me to get training because I'm not a trained plumber. What I do, but I do use a lot for a lot of my aspects. Once it's outside the wall, in my area where I'm permitted to do what we got to do, and that's where it comes into line for me. So that's really cool that you guys are committed to that hands-on education.
Yeah, absolutely. And across all product lines, all aspects too.
Yeah, yeah. So how long has Viega been in the training game? As long as they've been making fittings, have they been doing the training, or is it just something that's recently come about?
Yeah, we've been training in one aspect or another, since the fittings were released,
Mhm.
because when they came over to the North American market in 1999, there was nothing else like it. So training was important. It continues to be important. Our New Hampshire Seminar Center, opened 2006. So we've been training out of there for a while. Broomfield, Colorado, which is where I'm at, our corporate headquarters, was 2018. So, but we are constantly trying to evolve and offer more. You said you're in Indiana. We're we are going to open a training seminar center in Ohio, about an hour southeast of Cleveland. It's going to be attached to our new manufacturing facility. So that's more in your neck of the woods. But it's been
Yeah,
a while.
yeah, I'm excited for that one because I want to go out and check out the new facility and everything. It's not too far from me. I've been over to Cleveland a few times for some work stuff, and then some. I went over to the Rigid Experience last year, which was an absolute blast. But I'm looking forward to going over and checking out the new facility once it's open and rocking and rolling.
Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal. Looking at some of the displays we're going to have there, the fact that you'll be able to see the manufacturing process as well is
Mhm.
huge. That's not something that we can do as well in Kansas, where our current manufacturing is. But then, even as far as we have a center in New York City called our Viega Experience Center, we're going to have a full time trainer there. We're looking at doing one in Toronto as well. And then I've heard potentially Vancouver after that.
That's world domination, man. They're taking over North America and beyond. So that's really cool. It's a great product, and the name is well respected in the industry. So it just makes sense to keep branching out and keep training everybody.
Absolutely.
So what's some of the things that makes Vega's training stand out from other manufacturer led programs in the trades?
I can't speak particularly for other manufacturers, but I do know, our investment in training, whether it's us training here in the seminar centers or our field guys training in the field, but we love to do firsthand experience, relate, as you said earlier, back to the guys in the field, what their experience, what they're dealing with, addressing these issues, and really tailoring our trainings around who we have in. If I have a group of engineers, I'm going to talk a lot more about codes and standards. If I have a group of service guys, I'm going to relate it back to my service days. We're also looking at expanding our offering, introducing some residential solutions classes, commercial solutions, radiant training, and even industrial. So between our investment into training and our field experience and all of that, that's truly what sets us apart. Not to mention the fact that pretty much everyone I know that works for the company truly believes in the product. That's why I'm here. I'm here because I believe in the product and I loved the product in the field. And it makes it really easy to work for and talk about a product that you are all about.
That's cool. That's really cool. So is the Broomfield, Colorado, is that your main training center?
It is. So Broomfield, Colorado is our North American headquarters. We have, like I said, we have Nashville, New Hampshire. When that one was built, it was going to be North American headquarters. By the time it was finished, we had outgrown it. But as of right now, Broomfield is our North American training headquarters. We should have 2 trainers on staff eventually in Ohio as well. But yeah, the more training we can do, we have the demand for it. We want to help out everyone we can, honestly.
Nice, nice. So how many plumbers, pipe fitters, and mechanical contractors has Viega trained annually across the country? You guys I'm sure you keep track of all those stats. I must make you, throw some numbers out here.
Yeah. So I do have some numbers here. And from what I could find, there was obviously a slowdown during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't in-person trainings. I think the guys at the time were pumping out anywhere from 8 to 12 virtual trainings a day.
Wow.
But looks like in 2023, we trained 2,589 people in our facilities across 2023. Last year, we almost doubled that. It was about 5,136. And Q1 of this year, we're already at 1,570.
So it's just going up, up, and up.
Yeah, it's not slowing down. That's for sure.
And it's only going to grow exponentially. You know, when you start adding in Ohio and you break into Canada, you're going to be able to reach a lot more technicians and get a lot more people trained. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and it really comes back to the safe, reliable, consistent connections. We don't want anyone to have an issue with our fittings or a press fitting in general. So getting that across to people, showing them the benefits of pressing, the safety aspects, what these fittings can do, what they can handle. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I see all the time, whether it's your product or someone else's product, they'll have a fitting or something leaking. It doesn't have to be water, it can be anything, steam, any line. And everyone, the first thing they do is they blame the fitting. And I'm like, how about you cut that fitting out and send it back to the manufacturer and let them decide? And I guarantee 999 times out of 1,000, it was prep work that wasn't done right, wrong jaw, wrong application, for that fitting. But everybody just wants to jump on the bandwagon, like, oh, it's the fitting, it's the fitting, it's the fitting. And I'm here to tell you, very, very rarely is it the fitting.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. I know a lot of our warranty claims do come back to installation error.
Mm-hmm.
There are manufacturer defects. Nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
But it really is important, especially looking at gas, so natural gas or even propane. It is critical that they are using the right fitting. And this is stuff that some people in the field may not know.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing we want to mess around with is that. So proper fitting selection, using the right fitting for the right application is a huge part of our trainings too, because that can have really serious consequences too.
Yeah, it's wild to think, it may be the same. The outer part of that fitting may be the same, but it's the sealing element and everything on the inside that changes based on what you're using it for. And it's really cool that you guys have all that information available and you're training people to, hey, if you're doing this application, use this one. And, you make it pretty simple, the little dots and the different colors. I mean, it takes a lot of guesswork out. Just look at that dot and look at the chart. Oh, I can't use this for this. I shouldn't use this for this. Let's use this.
Yeah. And, even using the product in the field, I can't even explain to you how much I learned about this product once I started working with Viega. It was incredible how much stuff I didn't know. And that's my big thing, is making sure people leave here feeling confident in their ability and feeling confident in the product itself.
Yep, that's what it's all about, is knowledge and education, and it creates a happy end user. So that's cool. I see you guys all the time. You're in trade schools, you're doing contractor stuff, you're doing union halls. What is the feedback on the training? What do you get? Sorry. What is the feedback you get from everybody about the training?
Feedback's been really positive. We do surveys after all of our trainings, and everything I've seen has been very positive. We do focus a lot on trade schools and the union halls. Now, it varies based on region. So here in Colorado, trade schools are not as prevalent. Our licensing requirements aren't what they are, say, in New England. Mm-hmm. I know our New Hampshire center has a lot of, trade schools, high school programs come in to try to, teach the younger generation. As far as the union halls, we have an entire team dedicated. It's called our V10 program, our Viega Trades Education Network. Their whole goal is to get in there and train the union trainers to train on our product, setting them up for success, teaching their own classes, teaching the right information. I believe it's 205 members with the V10 program across North America. And I think 75% of those roughly are all union halls. So wow. It is a big thing for us.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, those guys are running. There's not very many of them, and they have very big regions.
Well, I noticed Viega, you collaborate with a lot of organizations like the UA or the PHCC to support workforce development. How does that work out?
It works out great. A lot of our guys in the field, whether it's our technical managers who are more focused on engineering firms, a lot of them are members of their local chapters for ASPE or any of those, groups. And standards. And then like PHCC, we have a very close relationship with. I think they've been in our building hosting their seminars a couple times the past few months. So we work very closely with them. We have an entire team dedicated to codes and standards. They work really closely with, IPC or the International Code Council, UPC. When these fittings came over from Germany in 1999, there was no codes or standards related to this product. That was something that we've had to do since they came over. Push codes, standards, get them approved per local municipality. And that's something we're still constantly doing. And that all ties back into these different organizations.
Yeah, that's going to lead me right into, my next question about code changes. Viega is right there in the forefront, watching code changes, and you're out there educating the end user on upcoming changes and stuff like that. So it's really great information that you have.
Yeah. And, code cycles change constantly. And I honestly fall back on our local guys a lot for this. So for instance, yesterday I had a group from LA. LA has much different codes than Colorado does. As I said, New England has much different codes than Colorado does. So we work as a team really to make sure that the guys we're training are getting what they need for their region. Because it is a never-ending battle. And then communicating any new standards, any specific code changes that come up. So ASTM B1029 is the new standard from ASTM for copper press connect fittings on copper alloy tubing, the installation procedure. So that's huge because, we want our fittings properly installed. I love to teach people that.
That's cool. Can you share a success story of a technician or an organization that significantly benefited from, the training program? Something maybe a person you interact with that had that aha moment or something along those lines?
Yeah. And it is hard to say specific sources. I don't get a lot of, updates from the field because, everyone's doing their own thing as much as they can, and it's hard to really relate. But we have, a lot of service companies who didn't realize what press was, who could, go from installing 2 water heaters a day to 4. And it may not necessarily be that they're saving money on the material, but it's about how much quicker they can get in and out, while still having a safe and reliable, consistent connection. There's times where they didn't realize they could, like we talked about earlier, didn't realize they could use press at all. And then we show them, or our technical team gets in with the engineers, teaches the engineers, what our product can do, what it's approved for, and it can really change the way jobs go. Especially if a job's running behind and they weren't spec'd out press, and we can get in there and get that job back up on schedule and, really benefit all parties involved.
Yeah, I hear all the time people, they freak out when they see a press fitting. They're like, oh, that fitting costs a fortune. And I'm like, my time costs way more than that fitting costs. I'm like, if I can save labor half by using a press fitting, they're still coming out ahead, even though the fittings cost more than a traditional fitting. And like the prep work and everything else, I'm like, the prep work's the same prep work you got to do on regular fitting work. That blows my mind when someone's like, oh, the prep involved. I'm like, if you're not doing these steps anyways, you shouldn't be doing any fittings.
Absolutely. And the biggest variable in any construction job is labor. So basically what we're looking at is taking some of that cost out of your biggest variable cost and putting it into a more fixed cost. So your labor is going down, your price of fitting is going up, but you're saving money overall because you're able to get in and out of there so much quicker. And that be getting out of there quicker means you can get onto other jobs as well. But yeah, you're doing the same stuff. Our installation isn't hard. It's actually quicker in a lot of aspects.
Yeah. So, a lot of people can't travel. Like I said, I'm in the middle of Indiana, nowhere Indiana. Ohio's coming, so that'll be closer for me. But say I couldn't make it out to Broomfield or out to New Hampshire or anything. Do you guys offer virtual or on-demand training for techs who can't travel?
We do, absolutely. So we have virtual training, virtual technical training, which you can kind of see my little studio here. This is where I do all of my virtual trainings. Now, we do this a couple different ways. They're usually half hour up to an hour. Our field guys can get, a group of contractors, group of engineers, whoever it may be, and we can do a more condensed version of what we do in person over this. I have a vise, all the tools, a test pump back here. Now, these have slowed down a little bit, especially compared to COVID. It looks like 2024, we did over 700 of them total. This year, we're at about 167 for Q1. But they are still a very vital role, because not, like you said, not everyone can get out, and not all of the field guys are able to carry everything they need to every job.
Oh yeah, it's a ton of money in tooling and everything else if you don't have it. Yeah. So I've seen some of your training. I've seen some of the social media stuff, and Viega does a really good job showing off, their fittings and their training opportunities. So that's really cool to see that, if you can't make it out there, there is opportunities for technicians to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do them a lot, different size groups. We'll do them for individuals too. So whatever the guys in the field need, that's the one thing about the company is we're all here for the end user, whether it's training, our engineering services, our tech support, the guys in the field, we're all on the same team.
Sweet. So how is Viega working to support the next generation of tradespeople through outreach and or mentorship?
Yeah, so we're doing the best we can. Like I said, even in New Hampshire, getting into those trade schools and the high schools, bringing them in, feeding them lunch, showing them that, it's not necessarily the stigma attached to the trades that some people think. Plumbing hasn't historically been a glamorous job. It's very physically demanding. Threading pipe is not always fun, but teaching people that there's another way you can do it, the technology behind it. So doing that, even in our manufacturing facility, they do a lot of internships like Experience Viega, where they can see the different aspects of the company. But yeah, I would really say just showing the younger generation that there's options out there is huge for us.
Yeah, that's huge for everybody. I come from an industry that people don't even know exists. Before I got into it, I didn't know it existed. I mean, you don't think about like repairing restaurant equipment. I mean, everyone knows what a plumber does. They know what an HVAC tech does. They know what an electrician does. But I'm in a little corner that people don't know about until unless they're in a kitchen somewhere and something breaks and they bring somebody in. But most of the time, I'm in and out the back door. They don't want their customers seeing me because they think something's broke and they're going to be worried. So I can see where changing that outlook about plumbers. I mean, I grew up, I'm 43 years old. I remember growing up and everyone made fun of plumber because they had their shirt was halfway up their back and you could see their backside. But I mean, that's not the case. There's a lot of plumbers out here that are young people and they're out here just killing it, making a ton of money, and they're having fun doing it. And I'm really glad to see, social media step up and showing off, and a lot of these technicians out here just killing it in the trade. So that's really cool. You guys are getting involved with, high schools and trade schools and stuff, and showing them there's another way.
Yeah, and to go with that, it's fun to show people that there are so many other avenues you can go. Mm-hmm. So even if you start out as a plumber, that doesn't mean you have to be turning wrenches the rest of your life. Look at me. I was a plumber. I'm now a technical trainer. 10 years ago, did I think I would be in this position? No, but I'm glad I am. You could go the project management role. You could go estimating. There's just so many different avenues that the trades can lead you into, whether it's plumbing, electrical, HVAC, kitchen, any of it.
Yeah, I love hearing stories about people that, they started out of high school and, they ran through their apprenticeship program. They got licensed. And by the time they're 30, they're business owners. By the time they're 40, they don't even go in the office anymore. They've got like 30 techs and they're just collecting a check. I'm like, this is the stories people need to know about because, 5-10 years into a trade and you can be a business owner. You can be out here just, making money, making a difference in other people's lives as well. And it's really cool to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great program and there's so many options.
Yep. So what do you believe is the biggest skills gap in the industry today, and how is Viega helping to close it?
I don't even look at it necessarily as a skills gap. I look at it as a kind of what we were just talking about, the options,
Mm-hmm.
letting the younger generation know what the potential is. I graduated in 2008. My graduating class was 104 people. I didn't realize that the trades were as good of an option as they were.
Mm-hmm.
We were pushed college or military.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like at the time that was my options. I went the college route. It wasn't for me. I wish I would have really started in the trades right out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
So just getting in, these early apprenticeship programs, even the union halls, getting at it, as early as we can, and letting them know the options, really back to what we were just talking about is a huge thing for us. Anywhere from our people team to our project managers to our training, all of the entire organization.
Yeah, I always talk about the trades just because it's what I did. I could not have done college. I barely made it through high school. I had undiagnosed ADHD. It was like cruise through there. I made it because I took a vocational or trade school class for 2 years, and that really helped me get through, and it was really fun. And it kind of helped spark my journey into trades. I started off as an electrician before I started doing this, so it was really fun to do. But I graduated in 2000. It was the same thing. You got to go to college to be something. You got to go to college to be something. And I'm like, I'm not against college. I've
No,
never say I'm against college, but like if you don't know what you want to be or you don't have a path or where you want to be, come out and try trades for a little bit. Maybe you'll fall in love with it.
absolutely. And try out a couple different trades. That's what I've told people before. Try electrical. If that's not your thing, try something else. The beauty of it is you're getting paid to try it, so it doesn't hurt you.
Yep.
And find your calling. It's not the end all be all. You're not dumping a bunch of money if you don't know for sure. Same thing. If you want to do college, you want to do, that's phenomenal. That's great. But there are other options.
Yeah, both of my sons work with me. My oldest son is 22. He's been here 3 years. He's absolutely killing it. And my youngest son is 19. He took 2 weeks off from high school and came to work with me. And he literally was a straight A student. Like every year he was invited to the National Honor Society and turned it down because he's like, I'm not going to college. I don't want to write this speech. I don't want to do this. Like he was a straight A student, like over 4.0, and like, nope, I'm not going to college. And I was like, oh, you break my heart, but let's do this, man. Let's do this. So I'm excited to, I guess, share what I do with my boys, and it's a lot of fun. So I think there is a resurgence in the trades, and a lot of people are putting a lot of hard work out there showing it off, and I think it is growing. So we are making a difference, and the numbers are coming back.
Yeah. And so that's another great point is the trades aren't going anywhere.
Mhm.
There's all this talk about AI and whatever it is, but the trades are not going anywhere. It is phenomenal job security. And that's something my kids are little, 8 and 4, but I try to get them their hands on everything I can too.
Yeah, it's a blast sharing what I do with my kids, and I wouldn't have it any other way. If they would have went to college, so be it. I'd support them no matter what. So that's what you got to be, parent. Let them make their own decisions. Sometimes they make good ones, and sometimes they don't. But that's part of life, right?
Absolutely.
So, how do you see Viga's role in shaping the future of plumbing and mechanical education in the next 5 to 10 years? We've already talked about kind of expanding into Canada and some other stuff, in Ohio. But what do you see as next for Viega branching out and shaping those industries?
Viega has a very aggressive 10-year plan,
Mhm.
as far as expansion goes, hiring significantly more people, to grow the business itself. And training is going to go right hand in hand with that. The more trainers we have, the more we can train, plain
Mhm.
and simple. But really, that's what it's all going to come down to, whether it's in person, virtually. We also travel. So we travel. One of our trainers is in New York City right now. We have one in Texas right now. So traveling out to job sites is always going to be a thing. We may eventually have trainers who are specifically travel trainers, but really keep doing what we're doing and just level it up, ramp it up, kind of get in anywhere we can for whoever needs us is the most, easiest to explain way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just keep getting keep getting out there, keep sharing that knowledge, and you're just going to grow, the industry even more. So that's really cool that they're really aggressive and trying to get out there as much as they can.
Yeah, because training's everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything comes back down to it, whether it's college, any of the trades, even something as simple as playing video games. You learn how to play video games, then you get good.
Yep.
The more time you put into it, the more you learn, the better.
That's cool. So, anything else you want to talk about? What I got you on here?
No, I want to thank you for having me on. It's been fun, and I know you're doing your part. We're doing our part. It's a team effort across everyone and all organizations, all manufacturers.
Sweet. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and I won't take no more of your time, but I just want to thank Viega for supporting the trade and supporting what we're doing out here. A phenomenal product, and I look forward to seeing what's next for Viega and what other products are coming out with. It seems like every time I turn around, they're releasing something new, something cool, and it's really cool to see.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Maybe I'll see you around HR next year in Ohio or somewhere.
Yeah, come on out to HR in Ohio. I'm looking forward to seeing that Ohio plant. I think it's really cool. So, if you guys would, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the podcast. It really helps us grow and helps us know which direction to move in. Also, if you have any suggestions for guests, please email me at commercialkitchenchronicles@gmail.com. Or if you want to be a guest, email me. Love to have you guys on. Thanks a lot. See you next week.